Okay, so lesson 4.3 is on using the Pythagorean theorem to find the height of an isosceles triangle and various values of a cone. So remember that an isosceles triangle means that there are two equal sides. Wow, that was weird. It means those two sides are equal, which also means these angles across from them are equal, okay? The two equal sides are called legs. And then the one side, so like this one right here, is called the base. With a cone, this is kind of hard to imagine, but if you imagine a cake shaped like a cone, I know that would be weird, but imagine there's a cake shaped like a cone, and if you were to cut a slice of this cake out right here, and then looked at it from the side, it would look like a triangle, right? Like this would be, if there's like purple icing around the outside of the cake, here would be the purple. And then on the inside, this would be like the cake, like whatever flavor cake you have. And then there's different pieces that we have to label. So, sorry. Okay. So this right here, this red line would be like if you were right here at the tip of the cone and you cut straight down.
Miss Nina?
Yeah.
Where's the teacher?
She should be in that link. Did you go to, you went to that link and she wasn't there?
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Okay. Maybe just, do you want to go join right now and Miss Frederick will be there? Is she there? Did she go?
Hold on.
Okay.
Oh, I think you did the one for here. No? Oh, no, it looks like it was the right one.
Yeah.
Oh, she isn't there.
Okay. I'm going to stop recording.
Oh, she just joined.
Okay. All right. I'm going to keep recording then.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's not your fault. Okay. So coming back to this. So when you cut that cake, this red line right here is going to be like the exact middle of the cake. It would be like slicing down the middle if you dropped like straight from the top of the cone down the middle. This is going to be what's called the height. So we're going to call that H, height. Then this part where you drag the knife, when you drag the knife, oops, I want to pick a different color. Where you would drag the knife to slice through the rest of the cake, that's this right here. And what that's going to be is from the middle of the cake, because it comes straight down from here, it's going to be from the middle of the cake to the edge, which is a circle. This might be something you've maybe forgotten, but this is called a radius. In a circle, if you go from the middle to the edge, that's the radius. Okay, so this is going to be R, a radius. And then again, where the icing is, so the icing is going to be on the outside of that slice right here. This is called the slant height. And we use a cursive lowercase l like this, kind of like a ribbon, because otherwise it sometimes looks like the number 1. So that's going to be our slant height. Now, here's the interesting thing. This makes a 90-degree angle. So really what we have right here is a right triangle. So what ends up happening is you get h squared plus r squared equals slant height squared. That's the Pythagorean theorem, just different letters. So you can use the Pythagorean theorem on a cone. It's just the letters are different. You could also do r squared plus h squared equals l squared. Doesn't matter. But the big thing is that this needs to be by itself. Okay, the hypotenuse needs to be by itself. All right, so that's like a lot of stuff, but we'll go through a couple examples. I promise it's not as bad as it seems, okay? So if we look at an isosceles triangle first, it says an isosceles triangle has legs. Legs is plural, So there's more than one. That means that's got to be these two. So if you forget, just look for the plural with the S. It means there's two. And it has a base of 12 feet. So a base of 12 feet. I'll actually do that black. Okay. They want us to find the height, then find the perimeter and area. So here's the height in this one. The height is going to be this right here. So they want us to find the height, but they also want us to find the perimeter and the area. Okay, well, let's start with perimeter because perimeter is really, in my opinion, pretty easy. We just need to go 16. Oh, what happened? 16 plus 16 plus 12. So 16 plus 16 plus 12 is 44. So the perimeter is 44 feet. Okay, so we're done with that one. And then area, this one's kind of sucky because we have to wait. We need the base times height divided by 2, and we don't have the height yet. That's what we have to find. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to be a little bit sneaky, and we're going to take and split this into a right triangle. That was a terrible color. So we're going to split that into basically 2 right triangles. And we're basically cutting the bottom in half. So if the bottom was 12 feet, now this is like 6 and 6. I'm going to pause there. Do you understand why that is 6 and 6?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just take this number and divide it by 2. So now we have this triangle. We need the height. We have this as 6 and we have this as 16. So now we have a right triangle. We can use the Pythagorean theorem. Which one is going to be our hypotenuse? Which one is the C that will be alone?
$16.
You got it. 16 is going to be alone. That's the one that's across from the 90-degree angle. And then we can just do h squared plus 6 squared. Or 6 squared plus h squared. It doesn't matter. So 6 squared is 36. 16 squared, or 16 times 16, is 256. Drop our line and solve. So we're going to subtract 36, subtract 36. These disappear. So we have h squared is equal to 256 minus 36 is 220. And then the last step always when you use the Pythagorean theorem, do you remember what it is? The opposite of squared is square root. So we would square root 220. And then we get 14.83. So on the quiz, I ask you to go to 1 decimal spot. Sorry, this looks like a child's writing. Which means you need to look at the second spot. So you look at this number. If that's 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, the number in front of it gets bigger. If it's not, it stays the same. So 3 is not 5 or more. That means that the height is 14.8. It stays 14.8. Okay, and then down here, now we have the information we need. Here's the one thing to be careful of, you guys. Be really careful. The base needs to be the original, okay? The base needs to be the original. So just be really careful there. So it's going to be 12 times 14.8 divided by 2. So the base times the height we found divided by 2. 12 times 14.8 divided by 2, 88.8. All right. So when you do your quiz, there's going to be a question similar. And you should be able to, like, pause the video and you can answer those questions, like answer the question that's like that and just follow the work. Okay. So let's try another one. It says an isosceles. What's up?
I'm going to use the restroom.
Okay. Let me know if you're confused when you come back. Okay.
Okay.
So this one says an isosceles triangle has legs, plural, of 18 feet. That means this is 18 and this is 18. And a base of 10 feet. Base of 10 feet. Find the height and then the perimeter and area. I would start with perimeter. 18 plus 18 plus 10. 36 plus 10 is 46. And then we have to do for area base times height divided by 2. But the problem is we don't have the height. That's what we need to find. So we're going to do the same thing. Drop a line. We're going to zoom in on that one. This is 18. But then we got to be careful. This is going to become, how long is this section going to be right here? How long will that be? Where did we get the 6s from in this one? So what would this one be? Can you say something in the chat if you're here? Just so I know. I got ears on me. Okay. So that must mean you guys are a little bit confused about where this came from. What we did here is we split this big gray triangle into 2 smaller triangles. And we basically we did cut this in half. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So we went 6 and 6. So here what we need to do is split the 10 in half. 10 divided by 2 is 5 and then 5. And then here's the height that we're looking for. Okay, so we use the Pythagorean theorem again. A squared, we could just do h squared plus 5 squared equals 18 squared. 18 is the hypotenuse. That one's going to stay by itself. So we do 18 squared is 324. 5 squared is 25. So then we have to do minus 25 on both sides. So these drop. And you get h squared equals 299. And then the last step always when we use the Pythagorean theorem is to square root. So we get h equals, if we square root 299, we get 17.2916. 17.2916. So if I want you guys on the quizzes to go to 1 decimal spot, you need to look here at this number. Is that 5 or bigger? Is 9 5 or bigger?
Bigger.
Bigger. So since it's either 5 or it's more than 5, that means it becomes 17.3. Okay. Now we've got that taken care of. We can go ahead and calculate our area. So we just got to be careful here. When we do the base, we need to make sure we use 10. Okay. If you don't, you can mess around and see what happens if you don't use that. You'll notice a pattern, but I'm not even going to talk about it because I don't want you guys to accidentally do it. So you need to make sure you use the original base and then the height that we calculated and divide it by 2. So 10 times 17.3 divided by 2, whoopsie, 86.5. Okay, so that's going to be like question number 1, and yeah, that'll be like question number 1 on your quiz. Okie dokie. So now we're going to do a couple examples with the cone. So this one says find the slant height. Now, slant height is this one. It's basically the hypotenuse, okay? So I'm just going to say this one more time. A squared plus B squared equals C squared is what we're going to use, except this time it's going to be R squared plus H squared equals slant height squared, or whatever. You can flip these around. These are the same. We just flipped the 2 first letters. It doesn't matter which one you use, okay? It says the cone has a radius of 12, so that means this is R, and a height of 14, so that means this is H. Don't worry about the picture. It's just there in case you want the visual. But basically, we need to find the L. So what we're going to do, orange. We're going to do H squared is 14 squared plus R squared is 12 squared equals the slant height squared that we're looking for. So 14 squared, oopsie, is 196, and 12 squared is 144. That's equal to the slant height squared. So now we do 196 plus 144 is 340 equals slant height squared. And the last move that we always do when we're using the Pythagorean theorem, or this version of it, is to square root. So if we square root 340, we get 18.4390. 18.4390. So if I'm like, all right, you guys go to 1 decimal spot, that means you need to look at the second one. Is that 5 or bigger?
No.
Nope. So that means our slant height is just going to be 18.4 centimeters. Just stays the same, 18.4. Okay? So now, flip it. This one says if the height of the cone, sorry, find the height of the cone. So we're looking for the height. If the radius is 8, so R is 8, the slant height, be really careful when you're reading assignments. It's not as bad for this quiz, but some students would just see this and they'd be like, ooh, this is H, but it's not. It's the slant height. So this is actually L, okay? So the Pythagorean theorem, or our version, R squared plus H squared equals slant height squared. So R is 8. Height, we don't know. Slant height is 15. 8 squared is 64. H squared. 15 squared is 225. Drop your line and solve. Minus 64 minus 64 is 161. And then our last step, always when we're using the Pythagorean theorem, is to square root. So we get H equals 12.6885. Okay, so if I want it to 1 decimal spot, then I need you guys to look at the second one. Is that 5 or bigger?
Yeah.
Yep. So that means that the height is going to be 12.7. It's going to make that 6 into a 7. Okay. So pretty much just using the Pythagorean theorem again. And here, what we're going to do, this is going to be A, B, C. So you're going to use this thing again. It just is, B is going to be half of the original bottom. Okay, so that's where you got to be careful in this one. And then for this guy, the Pythagorean theorem is just going to look like this. Or that, if you prefer. It doesn't matter. You can flip those two legs just like you can with A and B. Okay? There's a couple examples of each on the quiz. Feel free to like pause it, rewind it, watch it again as you're taking the quiz. It's like a totally great use of your resources. All right?